Wow. I hate gingers. Whoa. Well, I'm not a ginger because men are called redheads. We are not gingers. Only women can be gingers. Right? Like in Gilligan's Island. What's up, guys? The Hake Report, the late report. Starting now, it's 9:27 a.m. here in Los Angeles. Starting 26 minutes later than I ordinarily do. JLP was interviewed in his own studio. You are welcome, Jesse Lee, for allowing the use of your own studio, right? Talking about black privilege. Interviewed by the great Steve Malzberg over there at RT America. I think it's pre-recorded. We'll let you know how to hear that interview later. But now it is the Hake Report, the late report. Gonna have a fun, loosey-goosey, hour and a half plus Friday show. Ending at my normal time, 11. I want to talk about Phony Joe at the yesterday's National Prayer Breakfast. Oh, gosh. He's all bragging about this surprising jobs report because the economy wasn't that hard hit by that not that serious Omicron thing, right? I guess it's somewhat serious, but not that serious. And, of course, I'm going to talk about a light-skinned black lady from the UK, an actress who feels so bad that she cannot represent the darker-skinned black ladies who do not feel represented by her. And by the way, Airbnb hates whites as well as anybody who does not also hate the whites. What a shame, at least openly. All that and your calls, 888-775-3773. But anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys. I hope you're enjoying this AJ Gallardo original theme song of the Hake Report, written, Christmas Eve 2017? Gonna talk about the ridiculous stuff going on in the world. People acting silly.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. Is it pronounced Thandie Newton or Thandie Newton or Thandiwe Newton or something like that? I don't know. I'm going to talk about that black Zimbabwe/English actress. Was she born in Zambia or was she born in London? Does anybody really know? She claims London. But, yes, I'm starting late today, guys. It's about 9:31 now here in Los Angeles. And catch Jesse's interview later. Jesse had an interview in his... Jesse Lee Peterson. I'm on his network in his studio here. The Fallen State is going to be happening today. Anchor Baby's new show going to be happening today. Church with Jesse Lee Peterson on Sunday. All fun stuff. You can find the info on that on my blog post, which I will be updating on thehakereport.com for this episode, thehakereport.com, where you can also find my recent and upcoming, well, mostly recent, interviews. But I want to get right into lean in on this phony, sleazy Joe Biden, right? Phony Joe pretends he's not all about divide and conquer. Is it bad to call him a scumbag, kids, parents, adults? I call him a scumbag, sleazy guy. Commie Nonsense Network. I read this to you in Hake News at the end of hour 2 of JLP's show today. I do Hake News. I'm also an expert there. How do we unite us again? Unity is elusive, but it's actually necessary. That's a lame quote from this fake politician, fake Catholic, right? Most Catholics, most Christians are fake, and this guy is perhaps, maybe not, but perhaps the epitome, the perfect example of a phony Christian. President Sleazy Joe Biden delivered remarks yesterday morning, or I assume it was morning, at the National Prayer Breakfast, first Thursday of the month, first Thursday of February, I guess. It's not monthly. First Thursday of February at the U.S. Capitol building, praying, National Prayer Breakfast, praying to Satan, right? His address to members of Congress and so-called religious leaders at the multi-faith event. What happened to America? I thought, and I know we are, a Christian country, a Christian nation, right? But no, they want to do this multi-faith stuff. Diversity, it's a source of our strength. That's Sleazy Joe. His address to members of Congress at the multi-faith event, there's only one faith, one true faith, stressed the importance of unity during a moment of great division, pushed by him himself, right? The hate-filled Obama Biden himself. Want unity? Repent of smearing white people and men and Christians and unvaccinated. It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. It says this decrepit, mentally declining, spiritually dead Sleazy Joe. And by the way, that photograph is not even from his address. It's from a prior event. CNN's Kate Sullivan says the event is typically held on the first Thursday of February each year. First organized in 1953, every president since Dwight D. Eisenhower has headlined the National Prayer Breakfast. Sleazy Joe spoke at the event last year, by the way, in the wake of the January 6th, 2021 insurrection, so writes CNN's Kate Sullivan, at the Capitol, and in the midst of that year's winter wave of China virus cases. She calls it COVID-19, which is the globalist word for it. During that speech, he called for unity and faith in what he described as a dark, dark time for many Americans. What a mess, huh? Those remarks stood, writes Kate Sullivan at Commie Nonsense Network, CNN, in stark contrast to the former president, Donald J. Trump's remarks. Our real president, our greatest president in my lifetime, perhaps. The only one who could possibly have been greater, and I'm not sure, Ronald Reagan, but I don't know. I really respect Donald Trump, though, a lot on his stances, where he stood, when he stood. Remarks at the annual breakfast, Trump spoke, right? In stark contrast with Biden, because Trump was genuine and real and funny. Hosted by the nonprofit Fellowship Foundation. In 2020, Trump had been acquitted in his first fake impeachment trial, right, the day before. He took veiled shots at House Speaker nervous Nancy Pelosi and Rhino Senator, carpetbagger, as they call him, Mitt Romney. They call him a carpetbagger because he was governor of Massachusetts, one of the most liberal, pro-radical homosexual states in the country. Little Massachusetts, way over in New England on the East Coast, right? East Coast. And then he carpetbagged on over to the fellow Mormon state, because he's a Mormon, right? Allegedly. Total rhino, though. Total phony, Mitt Romney. And he went over to get voted in as a senator of Utah. Psh. And they fell for it. Shame on the Utah Mormons. I like Mormons, too. I know I grew up, there were some whites in my neighborhood and my schools, and many of those whites were Mormons for some reason. I don't know. I don't get it. The ones who had bigger families. Nice families. And then I had a coworker Mormon, and it was around the time of George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin, and I think that those Mormons, sometimes they get traumatized with this anti-racism stuff. Many whites do, right? And so he was saying, oh, George Zimmerman got his butt kicked. He didn't say butt. He said something else. And so he shot Trayvon Martin. I'm like, self-defense, innocent unless proven guilty. And this particular Mormon, and he was white, tall guy, sensible, no nonsense with regard to work. Great worker. He was studying to be a lawyer. Lawyers can be a bunch of idiots, silly idiots like us, right? Hake, give me your shirt, says Black Stepdad. You're a bully. You can't take it from me. King of the Cage. I'm wearing a King of the Cage t-shirt. Perhaps George Zimmerman should have been training with King of the Cage. Then he wouldn't have gotten grounded and pounded, hopefully, by Trayvon Martin, the thug who was all into that stuff, right? Anyway, he went after Mitt Romney, the only Republican who voted to, quote-unquote, convict him. That was the Ukraine phone call, right? Because sleazy Joe Biden had dealings with Ukraine, and he was pulling stuff that seemed suspicious. And so Trump was wanting to look into it, right? And they somehow turned it around to make Trump like somebody who should be impeached instead of sleazy Joe be investigated, right? At Trump's first appearance at the National Prayer Breakfast, going back to this National Prayer Breakfast in 2017, Trump asked the room full of lawmakers, foreign dignitaries, and religious leaders to pray for Arnold, as in Arnold Schwarzenegger. So the ratings of his show, because Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think he took over as host of The Apprentice, because Trump was in charge of The Apprentice, and he made The Apprentice an amazing show, right? Reality show. Because Trump is a natural. And Arnold, he was all right in Terminator, right? When he played like a robot. Hello. NBC's The Apprentice, ratings of his show would go up because the ratings were so bad for Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was humiliating. Arnold Schwarzenegger is an anti-Trump rhino. We used to think, oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger, actor, bodybuilder, Republican, made it in America. American dream. No, rhino, coward, weak. Spiritually, anyway. Yeah, Arnold makes a good robot. Yeah. And so, Trump being real, Biden being fake. Biden doesn't want unity. He smears whites all the time, brings up the fake idea of racism all the time, smears Trump and men all the time, kisses up. Supports the importation of unrelenting stream of immigrants to our country. European stock like me, we will be an absolute minority. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength. It's not a source of strength. Having a whole bunch of different people is not inherently any source of strength. In fact, it is a source of weakness. It weakens the country because they don't have our values. Nor does Joe Biden have our values. He doesn't want unity. Oh, the unvaccinated making it hard on everybody. Liar. Evil person. White supremacists is the primary threat. The main, most, what is that thing? Most lethal threat to the homeland. Meanwhile, crime going up. Soft on crime stuff, right? You heard about the soft on crime stuff on the Jason Lee Peterson show. You know that it's a mess. So fake. I'm going to talk about his little jobs report thing and then talk about this light-skinned black lady. But first, guys, and I will also read your super chats. In fact, let me get to a few of your super chats right now. Over there on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Based America First states on Streamlabs. Jeremiah, he quotes Jeremiah, Christ was all about caring for your neighbor. Also Jeremiah, you, Hake, are not my brother. Not even my neighbor. Love your neighbor, that means love your fellow Israelite. Don't love the Edomite. Somehow Jeremiah missed the point of the parable. Perhaps Jeremiah believes it only applies to Samaritans. Oh yeah, love your enemy. Oh, that only means my enemies among my fellow Israelites, not my enemies among the Edomites. Edomite is a slur for white. Well, I don't know if it's a slur, but he uses it like a slur for white people because he thinks he's a black Hebrew Israelite. Although he disputes the black part. What a mess, huh? Yeah, the blindness. Your girlfriend with the super chat over there on Streamlabs. And that reminds me, there was another one on Odyssey from Asmodor about a call yesterday. Call towards the end of the show. Rick from Maine said that this trucker convoy, it reminds him of every other trucker strike that he's ever been aware of. It has always backfired and ended up that the people in charge make things worse for the truckers, not better, according to him. So he surmises that perhaps this trucker strike will up in Ottawa, Canada, the Freedom Convoy. You guys familiar with what's going on there? They don't want the forced vaccinations. They don't want the communist shutdowns. Canada's establishment is against the people, the decent people who want their freedom, right? So your girlfriend states, Rick is wrong about the convoy. Quite frankly, no one has time for their liberties to be stripped away before he finally gets a clue. Fighting for your rights isn't supposed to be easy, convenient, or without risk. Fair point. She also goes on with another super chat, continuing with her point. Your girlfriend says, if he wants to lounge around and bark like a WWE wrestler, formerly known as WWF, World Wrestling Federation, I think, be my guest. Go ahead and bark like a WWE wrestler and lounge around. Just know that others are sick of bargaining their rights while you tell them how wrong they are for letting their presence be known. Well, I mean, in his defense, he said something to the effect of, make your point, but don't go overboard. Maybe, am I being too gracious to him? A super chat from Asmodor yesterday, late in the show, and I missed it. Rick is wrong about the trucker convoy. It has such massive support that Canadian support for lockdowns have gone down dramatically. Wow. If the Canadian government is punitive against them, it will be a big PR victory. Interesting. Yeah, that's why you hear the mainstream media and phony politicians like male feminist Justin Trudeau and that black Canadian whom I played yesterday. What was that guy's name? A fake guy. Complaining about supposedly Confederate flags and swastikas. He called them swastikas. Greg Fergus, black Canadian guy in like Parliament or whatever Canada has. I don't know how their government's set up. They're all a mess. Well, and my understanding is extremely limited on that. But he's like, ooh, the Confederate flag is a symbol of slavery. And swastikas, they just mentioned that they use swastikas. But what I understand is the swastika is supposedly like it's the Nazi symbol too, right? Among other things. But it's a Nazi symbol. And I think that they were accusing the Canadian government of being a bunch of Nazis. I have heard that language before because they've shut down church gatherings and stuff like that. The cops have. And they call them, oh, the SS is coming here. The storm, whatever. So they're calling them Nazis because commie doesn't hit as hard, unfortunately, even though commie is more reality and more murderous. Commies have killed 100 million people? Nazis, like 10, 20 million? But the commies are in the media. And the commies are killing the babies, right? Like crazy. Oh, but let's look at the past. Slavery, genocide. The genocide of the American Indians. The genocide of this and that. And then people are comparing genocides falling into that mess. Ridiculous. So they're taking any chance that they can to smear the mostly peaceful, maybe it's 100% peaceful, trucker convoy, a bunch of boomers, like Tea Party reminiscent. January 6th, mostly peaceful Capitol protest reminiscent, where those people, like perhaps 100,000 people showed up. 99% of, 99.5, 99.9 perhaps percent of them did nothing wrong. didn't even go into the Capitol building, which many of them did, not knowing that they were, some may not have even known that they were wrong to. Doors were wide open at some points. What a mess, huh? So we'll see. It's a major attack on the people. And the media has been mousy quiet about massive protests around the world, around Europe, against the communist shutdowns. And these are probably a bunch of dumb liberals even see that this is unreasonable. And I say dumb liberals lovingly because a lot of them, they have a little bit of sense, right? What a mess. So, thank you, Super Chatters. Take note. Let me get to William in California. How you doing, William?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Doing fine, thank you.
You guys had a late start today, huh?
Oh, yeah. We, JLP had an interview on RT America.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I sent you a video. There's some stuff that I'm sure a lot of your grown listeners. Well, I know one in Louisiana. I'm not going to go after the kid because I'm going to tell you something. I don't want to be going after your listeners, but I mean for anybody to think that Russia and the United States are getting ready to go into war, those are two powers with nuclear weapons. It's kind of like highly not going to happen. But
yeah,
some of this stuff is, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
James,
I have doubts about them actually.
Yeah,
they're throwing their weight around.
What do you? I mean, how could you be so dumb to even have that come out your mouth? I heard that yesterday. But first of all, this kind of Rick and Maine might know more about this as far as geographically speaking. A lot of this mess is from the Cold War.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
The goat shut them down. You know what I mean? The goat shut them down and ended the Cold War without firing a single shot.
You're referring to Ronald Reagan?
Yeah.
All right.
And that was a long, dragged-out situation, if you know anything, which I'm sure you do.
I've heard about it.
But, it was pretty deep. And the thing is a lot of people don't realize that some of these nuclear powers that you're talking about, you know, how Ronald Reagan did this, he starved them.
Okay.
Some of these places you're talking about, they don't have food. They don't have certain resources that the United States always had. And that becomes the United States bargaining chip that has always worked.
Okay.
But there's another thing. Oh, I like your T-shirt.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I like it too.
That's an excellent logo for a wrestling match for Michelle Obama and Whoopi Gorillaberg.
Oh, man.
Also, that Donald Trump, there's some good news here. He's been actually endorsing certain states. As you know, the United States is a republic, not a democracy.
Right.
And he's endorsing state by state. And they're quietly talking about placing him as a Speaker of the House. Now, let me tell you where this. I don't know if that'll happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's going to go ahead and run.
I would be
surprised. He's going to go ahead and run 2024. I'd be surprised, but it's not impossible, because if you do not have, if you know, you probably know this, James. You don't have to be an elected official to be the Speaker of the House.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, you didn't?
Mm-mm.
So, if he's Speaker of the House and the Democrats are losing 18 to 22 seats coming midterm, now I can kind of see him being president before 2024. Oh. Now I understand it, because if he gets in Speaker of the House and they get if he gets in Speaker of the House,
I don't know, man. What a mess.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
They're going to get, probably guaranteed, Senate and House of Representatives. At that point, you and I both know Harris and Biden will be impeached. and probably removed.
You think so?
And if they're removed, number three becomes number one. It's a good play. It's a little stretch, stretching it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is possible. All those things are true. Number three can be president. Right now, Nancy can be president.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Not one of them qualified. Not Sleazy Joe, not cackling Kamala Harris, not nervous Nancy Pelosi.
Correct.
What a mess.
Correct. So if they get the House and Senate, they're more than likely going to get impeached. And I'm not talking about an impeachment like Trump's and
I don't
Clinton's.
see that
I'm
happening.
talking about it's going to be an impeachment like removal.
I don't buy
Biden has been that bad. He's been that bad, really. There's still people in Afghanistan.
I know, but it's not like the Republicans are that good that they would be effective at getting them out of
go there with them rhinos. I know about them rhinos.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because you're a Republican doesn't mean that you're right.
I think this is a pipe dream. It's a Stretch Armstrong level stretch. But I definitely appreciate you explaining it to us because I had heard
it's not impossible.
Yeah, but it's a huge speculation. We don't even know what's going to happen with the midterms. See, we don't know the future.
They're losing almost 20 seats. They're losing almost 20 seats.
I'll hold you to that. I'll try to remember that number, and I'll throw it in your face if you're wrong. How about that one?
You can do that, man.
All right.
Man, and let's have a good weekend.
Yeah.
And men, be real men, and keep your women in your place. Keep them in their place.
All right. Appreciate it, William. Good to hear from you.
Take care.
All right. Bye. Asmodor says, Reagan was not the GOAT. He didn't shut them down, meaning the Soviet Union. System collapsed under its own weight. Uncle Ted 88 says, imagine Reagan was a good president. LOL. Oh, really? I mean, I don't know. But it seemed, I don't know. The thing that Reagan did that accelerated the fall of the USSR was accelerating military spending and the whole Star Wars anti-missile thing that made them reallocate resources when they were already doing poorly. But that wasn't a kill shot. As we know with the super chat, Kevin McCarthy, who's like the House Minority Speaker. Speaker, right? House Minority Leader, I guess, because there's only one Speaker of the House, and that's that female who talks way too much and should be retired. Kevin McCarthy, the rhino from, I'm interrupting his super chat, the rhino from Bakersfield, who only cooperated with Trump because Trump had the power and he wants power, so he has to kiss the ring, right? So Asmodor states with the super chat on Odyssey, odysee.com/@the-Hake-Report/live, Kevin McCarthy will never lead any charge that doesn't benefit his donors. Fair point, probably, right? Kevin McCarthy. I hope Hake is staying till 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. Unfortunately, I got to end at my usual time, so you're only getting an hour and a half of Hake, your girlfriend. But I appreciate you wanting the full 2 hours. We are working on alternative ways to do both JLP outside interviews. It's with studio quality, in addition to the Hake Report live at the usual time. But I appreciate it. Thank you for bearing with us in the meantime. Reagan gave illegal immigrant amnesty for empty promises and left us up the creek. Well, I used a different phrase than he used, but yeah. Some say he was suckered. It was an honest mistake and he couldn't have known or something like that, but what a shame. He had some positive aspects, I think, right? I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate that. So, briefly, let me tell you about the Phony Joe touts this phony jobs report. CNBC says jobs report January. What is this? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. Biden touts January jobs report that beat expectations despite the Omicron surge. Omicron. And you know what? When I was reading this thing, I thought that it might be a setup. For some reason, I knew when the very fake news, commie nonsense network, CNN reported this, and I said, Biden wants you suffering. America's economic recovery is about to go into reverse, said very fake news CNN, meaning it's getting worse rather than recovering, it's declining. White House officials are bracing for a weak January jobs report later this morning due to speed bumps in the road caused by Omicron variant of COVID-19. So they're already giving him excuses. And I'm like, COVID-19 is the globalist word for China virus. That's the UN's word. Don't follow it. It's China virus. It came from China. I'm like, yeah, blame it on Omicron, not the Democrat communist shutdowns and female overreaction and fear-mongering that Sleazy Joe, we're going to have a dark winter. That's what he said about last year's situation when he was taking over. After the coup, not the coup attempt, the coup. Wow, I'm just playing around. Or at least I have to say that I'm playing around, right? So I'm like, I think they're trying to temper the expectations, and they predicted it would be worse than it actually was, right? Who knows? Not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm saying that these people are not to be trusted in general about anything. And the jobs report, don't they mess with the numbers anyway? And what credit is that to him? The Omicron thing was unexpectedly described as mild, right? So, come on. Come on. I think a lot of the economic recovery which was the slowest recovery in history under Obama and under Biden, I think they are in spite of their attacks on the freedoms and the businessmen. And I'm not talking about the commie-capitalists. The commie-capitalists love to exploit the crises just as much as the politicians. They're in cahoots against America. It's true. It's true. You know that. All right. I want to tell you about this. Let me get to some. We are at the top of the hour, but I don't think of that. I feel funny taking a break after only a half an hour. So I think we can go at least another 15 minutes before I get up and stretch out. I feel my beta back coming on. I didn't get much sleep this week. Didn't get a whole lot of exercise and stretching. So I'm going to have to get up, and I have a fun song to share with you. But anyway, guys, a light-skinned black lady I want to talk about. And I use the term lady perhaps loosely. This is from Summit News. Hat tip to Big Bump. Black actress cries and apologizes to darker-skinned actresses, quote, and that's a quote, for not being black enough. And again, that's from Summit News. That's Paul Joseph Watson's outlet. He's like the Infowars.com guy. So Big Bump says, and I read it as Thandie Newton. Thandie Newton says, I hate white people, my white father, and my white husband. That's what Big Bump says. She says, perhaps not a direct quote, but read between the lines. So this Thandie Newton, I think it's pronounced Thandie Newton, but actually she changed it back to her more Zimbabwe-sounding name, Thandiwe, something like that. Thandiwe, because she wants to be more ethnic again. Thandie Newton, 49-year-old woman, Westminster, London, England born, supposedly, mixed race, light-skinned, black female actress. You may have been familiar with her. You may somewhat recognize her. She played the false love interest, false love, to Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 2, way back in the year 2000. She was in Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. I don't remember her there. She played Condoleezza Rice in W, which I did not watch, in 2008. Her mother's from Zimbabwe, according to far-left Wikipedia. Father's supposedly an English lab technician and artiste. Some say that she was born in Zambia. She claims she was born in London. Kind of reminds me of another light-skinned, black, mixed-race foreigner who was supposedly born in Hawaii, but some say other places. Who knows? Anyway, Sky News reports that this woman, her new film, God's Country, Sky News is a British outlet. No. They're an Australia outlet, right? Sky News? God's Country is the name of this movie, and she's an atheist. I'll tell you about that. Her new film, God's Country, has been adapted from a short story by one James Lee Burke. But it swapped the lead character from an older white man to a black woman. And I don't know if she's considered to be older. This film, God's Country, the story, centers on a grieving professor, Thandie Newton, who confronts two white hunters whom she catches on her property. So I'm going to play this clip 11A, I think it is, from AP Entertainment. Far left, enemies of America, extremist outlet, AP. And I call them extremists. They don't want to call illegal aliens what they are. They don't want to call the so-called transgenders what they really are, but what they prefer to be calling themselves. They think racism is a real thing. They smear Trump. They're anti-American. Extremists, left, far left, AP, huge organization, establishment, international, globalist. AP Entertainment on Twitter says, Thandiwe Newton plays a woman confronting white hunters in the Sundance film God's Country. Sundance film means it doesn't have a deal yet, like they can't get distribution yet. Maybe they will. She says she's struggled with a different type of prejudice in the United States as a light-skinned black, and they capitalize the B in the word black because they're kissing up to blacks, but it's supposed to be lowercase. I'll correct it here. British actor, light-skinned black British actor, prejudice in the United States. But she apologizes to the people hating her for it. So here's this clip. The header is God's Country star Thandiwe Newton addresses prejudice. So listen to her talking, and you'll see a little bit of scenes from I think they're trying to gin up interest in this dumb movie, which they totally changed it around. Replacing the white man with a black woman. Isn't that all too common? Listen to this.
You must have got my note, though. I put it on your truck yesterday.
I now realize that my internalized prejudice was stopping me from feeling like I could play this role. When it's precisely that prejudice that I've received. It doesn't matter that it's from African-American women more than anyone else. It doesn't matter. I received prejudice. Anyone who's received oppression and prejudice feels this character. I've wanted so desperately to apologize every day to darker skinned actresses, to say, I'm sorry that I'm the one chosen. My mama looks like you.
My mama looks like you. She's crying right now.
It's been very painful to have women that look like my mum feel like I'm not representing them, that I'm taking from them, taking their men, taking their work, taking their truth. But I do think that any women of color who've, whether they're pale or whatever, who've managed to help other actors, get into this business. We matter. Whenever they say that black women have watched the movie and it's really, really, really mattered to them. I just thank God that my light skin didn't stop that from happening. I'm so that it didn't cause more pain.
What a mess, huh? Pandering and catering to the hatred, the shallow hatred, colorism. This is pawn poker. Yeah, that's what it is. Colorism. We matter. I'm so glad that my light skin didn't prevent them from not feeling like they matter. Mad that I'm taking their truth. What are you even talking about? Let me play part B. Part B is another example, and you see her face. Just for the viewers, right? If you're watching it, you get to see like the tears coming down her face. She is a trained actress. Allegedly born in the UK. So maybe she can pull those tears out. Is she acting? Putting on a show? I mean, people are fake. We had an excellent men's forum last night, by the way, guys. Made me think of it when I said people are fake. So here is here's this woman, just a repeat of some of what she said. It's a little bit shorter of a clip. But she's talking about internalized prejudice that she received from African-American women, which is not the word. Stop kissing up to that mess. Women that look like my mum. My mum. With her British accent. Playing in American movies. She played Condoleezza Rice. Anyway, here's phony Thandiwe Newton crying and apologizing to blacks for them hating her for not being black enough.
I've wanted so desperately to apologize every day to darker skinned actresses, to say, I'm sorry that I'm the one chosen. My mama looks like you.
Terrible. Hand in her face. Is she laughing?
My mum looks like you. And
she can't hide her smile.
It's been very painful to have women that look like my mum feel like I'm not representing them, that I'm taking from them, taking their men, taking their work, taking their truth.
Taking their truth.
I didn't mean to, you know.
I didn't mean to follow the opportunities. What a shame, huh? Ridiculous woman. Is she cringing at herself? She kept on putting her face down. For those of you listening on the audio feed, she kept on putting her face down. And I would do that. And then be like all laughing. And then you go, oh. According to Sky News, God's Country also marks the first project this Thandie Newton, spelled Thandie, Thandie, but she switched it to use the W in it. Newton, first project for Newton, where she is using her birth name, Thandiwe, Thandiwe, after years of dropping the W and being known as Thandie, or Tandy, in Hollywood. I got to change it back, which is actually probably more powerful, she said. So I'm glad that they robbed it for a brief couple of decades. They robbed it. She gave it up. And I love the fact that it's God's Country that is the first project that has my name, you know. Honestly, I was like, this is my last movie. I don't need to say anything else, really. Background on this woman, according to the far left Wikipedia, Newton remarked at a TED conference, this woman is messed up. Listen to these other episodes. She stated she went to a TED Talk. She was at a TED Talk. You know those cringy TED Talks? There's only like a couple of TED Talks worth watching. I mean, you can watch them and make fun of them, but anyway. TED conference, she stated, from about the age of 5, I was aware that I didn't fit. I was the black atheist kid. What's a 5-year-old being an atheist kid in the all-white, messed up family, huh? All-white Catholic school run by nuns. I was an anomaly. Light-skinned black. She began dropping the letter W in Thandiwe, leaving it as Thandie. She has a degree in social anthropology. So she knows how to, I guess, manipulate people. She's married to a British director. She has a white father, a Zimbabwe mother, like I told you. White husband, Oliver Parker, British director. 3 kids, all home births. She's vegan. She was named PETA's, cover your ears, kids, sexiest vegan of 2014 in UK. Barf! They're always propping up the POCs in the white countries to be like the picture of beauty now. You notice that? Shameful. In 2007, Newton sold her new BMW X5 and replaced it with the Toyota Prius after Greenpeace, you know, the radical tree hugger group, Greenpeace, they stuck a bumper sticker that said, I assume it's a bumper sticker, this gas-guzzling 4x4 is causing climate change. They put that sticker on her BMW, and so she replaced her whole BMW with a Prius. What a easily pushed around Is that her white side being pushed around? Or female side? I don't know. In 2008, Newton visited poverty-stricken Mali, M-A-L-I, describing it as a humbling experience, a guilt-ridden woman. 2013, she led the 1 Billion Rising flash mob in London for an end to violence and for justice and gender equality, a man-hating woman. She's expressed an affinity for Buddhism. Typical. Right? These Westerners. Hey, do you drive a Prius? I decline to answer. I do not say what I drive. Therefore, you can pick out a Prius and think that it's Hake, or you can pick out a non-Prius and think that it's Hake. I don't want to do process of elimination answers. You guys, what a mess. 2016. I think I might have told you guys what I drive in chat at one point. In 2016, this Thandie Newton stated she had been a victim of a director who repeatedly showed his friends video of her in a sexually graphic audition in which she made as a teenager. What a misguided person or parents. So let her do that as a teenager. Shame on her and her parents. I guess the director for sharing that mess, right? So she called herself a victim when she's the one who did it to herself. Newton cited this experience as being part of why she took the Westworld role. I guess she was in this TV show, I guess, called Westworld. Involved substantial nudity. Oh, okay. Yeah. You don't like a director showing you all naked, so you get in a show that makes you even naked more. What in the world? That's the misguided woman thinking, right? It mirrored the experiences of survivors of sexual abuse while also asking moral questions about the meaning of humanity and what it means to be humane. 2018, this woman said she was disappointed not to have been invited to participate in the Time's Up thing. Time's Up was the black female version of #MeToo. It was started by this black female lady. And I use the term lady very charitably. This black female lady did this Time's Up against discrimination against women of color. It was amid the Me Too mess. Me Too being the women and gays accusing males of sex stuff when they themselves were involved in sex stuff. What a mess, huh? Time's Up is a movement against sexual harassment, right? According to Wikipedia. She considered that she had experienced being ostracized for speaking aloud about alleged sexual abuse by a director. So she wanted to be invited. Why not invite yourself? Hey, you still on about the same chick? Yes, the same one. I'm just trying to give you background on her. Anyway, I wonder if Airbnb will ban the black females who are mad at her, or her who hates whites and men and Democrats who hate Americans. Well, Airbnb, I'm going to talk about Airbnb. She doesn't realize nobody cares what actors think or say. Well, I mean, we kind of have fun messing with them. Westworld, we're all robots in a Western town. Oh, okay. I've seen bits and pieces of that. Ridiculous. Anyway, the Brits. Am I right? Let me tell you before should I take a break? I think I should take a break. I want to share a song with you. It's a cool song. I hope, right? Airbnb, anyway, hates white people. You heard about this. And it hates anybody who doesn't hate white people. In this case, that little brown lady, as she calls herself, Michelle Malkin, who has been interviewed by JLP, I believe, in the past. Whites are the real terrorists. Oh, gosh. So the extremist Daily Beast, I told you about this in Hake News, end of hour 1. Michelle Malkin banned from Airbnb after attending a hate fest. Give me a break. Hate fest. And who's the hater? Mild-mannered Jared Taylor. Just like as centrist as you can get in terms of like the white advocates. He calls himself a white advocate, but they call him a white nationalist because that sounds scarier, right? I've heard of others, by the way, being banned from Airbnb. Not just this lady and her husband, who's Jewish, right? Jewish husband. Per Telegram messages I mentioned in Hake News, I'd seen for like weeks, I feel like. Airbnb banning. And in fact, they've banned people for years. Whites, especially. I mean, whites most notably, perhaps, most prominent in the mainstream media. Shared by Nick J. Fuentes, Real Vincent James sharing instances, I guess, of people being banned from Airbnb. Maybe it was Michelle Malkin, because I didn't really click into it, because people being banned from these Airbnb, if you're not familiar, just a quick heads up. Airbnb is this app where you can book to be in a room, rent a room for a night or a few nights, right? Or a whole house, possibly. And it's kind of like Uber, but for Uber where they let you have a ride, but it's Airbnb where they let you stay the night or a few nights or whatever. And Airbnb, to their shame, I've heard about them for years, right? They disallow the rights of hosts to discriminate against POC potential guests. You know, sometimes you've had a bad experience, right? Or one too many bad experiences, or a few too many bad experiences. So you're like, no, I don't want to hire any more. I don't want to rent out to any more fill in the blank type guests. And so they try to undermine your ability to get information on the background of these people, limiting very basic info on like their names, so you can't racially profile them as easily, potentially, unless you get a name like Thandiwe. In past years, they've worked with evil Obama Attorney General Eric Holder after he was let go, right? The black communists, light-skinned black communists, radical. Those light-skins, they tend to be so radical, right? Compensating, I guess. He advocated brainwashing Americans against guns. Eric Holder, that one. He falsely accused the Ferguson Police Department of having disproportionate racist outcomes against blacks, even more than the general population, which didn't pan out to be true, according to his own Ferguson report. He was in charge of the Department of So-Called Justice. And they hired him because they were getting accused of letting their people racially profile their people, which I don't even know if that's true. You know, blacks imagine racism and just project this idea, oh, you're treating me this way because you're racist. When in reality, it's them who are profiling the whites as racist or the non-blacks, right? So anyway, long-time center-right writer. I say center-right is a good thing, right? Once frequent Fox News commentator, Michelle Malkin, banned from the extreme Commie-capitalist Airbnb after attending white advocate Jared Taylor's tempered and centrist organization, American Renaissance, gathering in Nashville, Tennessee last November. Consistent with our policies. Oh, I have a picture of this. Ben Breit, B-R-E-I-T, Airbnb spokesman, spokesmale. He states, consistent with our policies, doesn't look like a Christian, doesn't look morally straight. Does Airbnb let real Christians be among their staff? Consistent with our policies, this man says, if you were watching the screen. In my case, consistent with our policies, if we become aware of users who are members of or actively affiliated with hate groups, no such thing, we remove them from Airbnb, he told the Daily Beast this week, Wednesday. Site also banned Malkin's husband, she wrote, since her trips were often booked through his account. Michelle Malkin tweeted, the new twist in my case is Airbnb is going after my husband for simply being married to me. Are my kids next? How about the hashtag America First families? The Zoomers, many of them Zoomers, some of them Boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Millennials. She tweeted that on Wednesday. She's friendly with America First host Nicholas J. Fuentes, AFPAC founder, right? She called herself the mommy of the Groypers. The Groypers were the listeners of Nick Fuentes and generally upstanding Catholic and Christian guys who went and confronted various people over their disagreements on foreign policy, politics. Some of them don't like our support for Israel. Some of them don't like our moral failures, like supporting the LGBT stuff of the mainstream so-called conservative, like TPUSA and Dan Crenshaw, the Rhino, and them propping up gays and saying, oh, we're pro-gay now. We're fine with the transgenders. We're fine with women. We're fine with I don't care what you do in your bedroom type stuff, which is a lie. That's a what do you call that? I don't know. It's not even what's really going on. They're promoting the LGBT mess. They're basically the Democrats all over again. She called the Groypers, she called herself the mommy of the Groypers because she spoke at some of their events. Because she's been at this for a long time. Gen X probably lady. Perhaps a young-looking boomer. The SPLC has deemed American Renaissance, another outlet that American Renaissance, AmRen.com. I came across them when I was searching for information about black-on-white crime. And they have undisputable factual statistics and information about black-on-white crime versus white-on-black, Hispanic on white crime, all the Hispanic on black crime, all the various change. Color of Crime is one of their publications, and they've put out multiple ones. And then I was producer of JLP when he interviewed Jared Taylor once or twice, who founded American Renaissance. Just this nice, well-mannered boomer guy. I think he's a boomer. And he doesn't call himself a white nationalist, but they call it white nationalist. He calls himself a white advocate. SPLC, the far-left enemies of America, SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center. I talked about them yesterday. They want the South poor. The Anti-Defamation League, they live to defame the Christians and the whites. They have called it a white supremacist journal. What a mess, huh? What a mess. Not Christians, those outlets. They're not trustworthy sources. Airbnb requires users to adhere to Airbnb community commitment and treat everyone in the Airbnb community regardless of their race, religion, national origin, ethnicity, disability, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, or age, with respect and without judgment or bias. So race, except for whites. Religion, except for Christians. National origin, except for Americans. Ethnicity, especially, that's a code word for the Hispanics. Disability, except for autistic people. A lot of autistic people can see through this mess, and they don't like when things don't make sense, and so they get discriminated against. Sex, except men. Gender, false identity. Sexual disorientation. Age, except for Gen X, Boomers, Zoomers. With respect and without judgment or bias. They don't even live up to their own thing, of course not, because they're commies. The platform says they've booted more than 1 million users. A million? For violating that commitment. Most notably the whites who are patriotic nationalists. They call them white nationalists. Whom they removed in 2017 for attending the Charlottesville Unite the Right, the infamous, mostly peaceful, Unite the Right protest against the tearing down of the Robert E. Lee, the Confederate American general hero, which was allowed to be, the whites over there were allowed to be attacked by BLM Antifa, by the people in charge of that city, people in charge of the police of that city, prompting one white to drive into a crowd under duress, right? And an apparent, who knows if it was panic or anger. So anyway, Malkin claimed in an email to the Daily Beast, far-left Daily Beast, she did not use Airbnb even to book accommodations in Nashville, Tennessee. The ban was merely due to her speaking at the gathering. See? I told you, stuff that I do outside could get me banned from anywhere. That's what they did on Twitter. And by the way, Daily Beast falsely, apparently, and presumptuously stated that Malkin stayed at Airbnb during her Nashville speaking engagement. They don't even have a clue. They just make up stuff. Typical. So sick, huh? Anyway, we are at just about the bottom of the hour. Let me give you some nice, soothing... I guess it's soothing. What is this? Shoegaze music. We are done with human television. No more human television. You guys want to celebrate? No more of those beta vocals. Now you're getting a full-blown woman singing. This track is from Black Tambourine. It is from the 1991 EP, 7-inch EP called By Tomorrow, out of print. It's also on the Black Tambourine compilation from 2010, Slumberland Records. This is track from Black Tambourine is entitled Black Car. Hope you enjoy it. I know I do. And hang tight for, what is this? The last half of the Hake Report. Hang on, and I'll be right back. Nice. Well, wasn't that nice, guys? I know you liked it. What are these Foo Fighters chords, says John Doe. They predate Foo Fighters. I think that, I don't know, when was Nirvana around? Nirvana was around in the early 90s, right? Foo Fighters wasn't even around by then. That guy hadn't even committed suicide or been killed by Courtney Love or whatever. More lo-fi garbage, says LUKA Music. You're just jealous. Too much trouble, says Matthaus Hetzenauer. I'll be back, not listening to this mess, says Cody Turner. What else? Oof, the dissonance, though. I can see why it's out of print. Hake would like Slow Dive. I have one album. Very shoegaze wall of noise indie. Smash the like button and mute his music. She desperately wanted to be Sushi Sue of the Banshees. This is good. Thank you, Robert Moodley. It sounds annoying. Oh no, my ears. Not bad for a high school music show. The female Jesus and Mary Chain, says Tim Scott. It's 1991, guys. Hake should go to Guantanamo Bay for his music crimes, says Mr. Popo. Sounds good to me. I prefer a bit of anger in my music. I know, you people. You angsty people. Detuned guitar. Every girl band sounds the same except for Paramore, says Real. Whatever, guys. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Let me get to a super chat or two, guys. Quite a few, actually. Asmodor. Oh, no, I already read that one from Asmodor about the phony Kevin McCarthy. But he says about Thandie Newton. Am I reading the super chats now? Yeah. Thandie Newton. If she's so sorry to be the one chosen, why doesn't she turn down the roles and demand they hire coal black actresses? Fair question. So phony. Phony woman. Angela Northcutt over there on Odyssey also states with the super chat, in D.C., there are a few houses that only rent out to black people. I used to live by one in D.C. They have their own app/email, but it's on the DL, as in the down low. Big hugs, Alpha Hake, and Lord Bibby42 watches sister act with his pink lederhosen on. I dare not ask what that means, but thank you. Hake, asks Fabriette, you going to AFPAC 3? I think so. Actually liked your music today, Hake. Thank you, Commander Kim. Appreciate that. Super chat from Bad Bibby42. Then I will get to your calls, guys. You can call in. 888-775-3773. Thandie is so self-absorbed, it makes me want to spit. It's something that I say too. What a fake. She can go join Mark Ruffalo and Anderson Cooper while they do activities together. And that's a reference to something that Bad Bibby 42 says that they like happening, which is not morally straight, right? Thandie is a phony, says Bad Bibby 42. Did you see all her fake crying like the liar she is? You think that they were fake? Crocodile tears. Emotions are fake anyway, even if they were quote-unquote real emotions. But I don't know, she might have been playing it up. All actors lie for a living. They're so far removed from reality. It's unbelievable. What a bum. Just like Mark Ruffalo, and we all know what he's into. What a mess. Thank you, Lord Bibby42. I hope you guys liked, I kind of liked that Black Tambourine, Black Car song. I kind of came across them in 2010 or 2011 when they re-released all their songs on Slumberland Records. I didn't realize it was from 1991. Hake is slow, doesn't know what I don't even want to repeat the word now. But lederhosen is, how does that make me slow? It just makes me ignorant. Because slow, I don't know, and I don't want to get into that. Let me get to a call or two, guys. Jeremiah in Louisiana. How are you doing?
This is the day the Lord has made. I shall rejoice and be glad in it. Or we, Israelites, shall rejoice and be glad in it. What's going on, Hank? Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
You call Nick anchor baby, so does that, by what you said the other day, he don't belong here, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, on to my, what I want to talk about. Who has power in not just America, but the world?
Satan is the god of this world, if that's what you mean.
He is the prince of this earth, yeah. But who did he give power to? You know, when he went to tempt Jesus, and he said, if you just bow to me, I'll give you all kings of the earth, and Jesus declined.
Uh-huh.
Do you know who he could have went to and said the same thing to?
Nope.
The people that got power in this earth right now.
How do you know that he could have done that?
I'm saying he could have. It's a possibility. He could have.
You don't know. Are you on a speakerphone?
Yeah, I'm eating too. My bad.
I got to go, Jeremiah. Thank you for your call, man.
Enjoy your kingdom.
Yeah, take care. Come on. If you're going to call and be ready and don't be dilly-dallying around, right? But I appreciate it, Jeremiah. Have a nice weekend. Seasow says, I don't understand Ebonics. That was not Ebonics, was it? Was it Ebonics? Anyway, let me help Jeremiah out. Let me just entertain what the point that he was making, because it is mildly interesting. But he beats around the bush, right? He tries to lead you to whatever it is. Jeremiah is always just waking up and eating when he calls. Have some respect. Yeah. Respect especially for the listeners. I jumped on him already in a prior call for eating. Anyway, Satan, the god of this world. But yet he repeats this stuff, the anti-white mainstream mess. Anti-Christian mainstream mess. Gleeful in the destruction, which I've talked about. You should not be gleeful in the destruction of the people who you think your enemies are. What a mess. Jeremiah always chomping on fried chicken and watermelon when he calls, says Asmodor. I think another guy called and said, that's racist. White people love watermelon. You love watermelon, James. And I said, no, I don't. I like watermelon flavored like rock stars, I guess. Although those are a bit sweet, but I don't like watermelon itself. I don't like cantaloupe. I don't like melon flavor in general. You know what I mean? But yeah. People think it's racist. Give me a break. Using his phone in the using his phone time in the commissary, says Butch. Are you profiling him, thinking that he's a criminal? Anyway, I appreciate it. Let me tell you just one quick thing before I get to back to calls. There are affirmative action demands pushed by this guy. You know, he's in the news. I've been talking about Hake is a cantaloupe. Whoa. You know, papaya. Ugh. That if it's dried, I can maybe eat it if you put salt or sugar on it. Affirmative action demands of this Brian Flores guy. I heard that he was raised by Hondurans. I haven't ever looked him up. Brian Flores, the former Dolphins coach for the NFL. He's suing the NFL. I reported about it earlier this week, and we've talked about it with callers. Brian Flores, former Dolphins coach, sues NFL and 3 NFL teams, alleging racial discrimination. The Giants, the Broncos, and I think the Dolphins themselves, if I'm not mistaken. Denver Broncos, New York, I don't know. Is New York Giants, is that the baseball one? I can't keep all that stuff straight. I don't care. Lawsuit demands damages and change. This guy. The lawsuit was filed in U.S. District Court of Southern District of New York, SDNY. That is one of, in my impression of it, is they're one of the most corrupt courts. That's where they're going after Trump, SDNY. Aren't they? What's one of the places that they're going after Trump? With that, what is that? A black female New York attorney general woman? Crazy. They're asking for monetary damages and injunctive relief. That relief would come in the form of the NFL and its teams, 1, increasing the influence of black people, making hiring and firing decisions for top positions. Like, black people are so fair-minded, especially the typical black people, you know? Come on. Creating a committee to increase ownership diversity. So you have this committee that you have to deal with. Come on. Requiring teams to help explain firing and hiring decisions in writing. Come on. Meddling in people's business. Creating a training program for black assistant coaches who want to take a step up and become offensive or defensive coordinators. Come on. Making transparent the pay of general managers, head coaches, and coordinators. Psh, come on. People don't really want to share what they're paid. I think it's one of the basic things. Calm down, Marty. I'll get them to you. Marty's on the line. I hope James takes some calls. I assume this is the same Marty. That's funny. Creating monetary. Show the picture of this guy just so you can tell you who this guy is. I wonder if he's the one who even came up with this. This is that Brian Flores guy. Black or black Hispanic or raised by Hispanics, but he's black. He was, according to some, he was mentored by Bill Belichick, who slipped up and gave him a congrats when it was not actually him. He was congratulating. Anyway, involving creating monetary, draft, or salary space incentives for hiring and retaining black GMs and top coaches. See, all this affirmative action mess. They already have affirmative action going. Marty says, it's me, James, not Nadia. Yeah, because a different call screener thought that it was Nadia. I'm like, Nadia, what's up, Nadia? Nadia was is. I knew a Nadia, and she was Egyptian, Muslim. It was in elementary school. Involving more black players and coaches. This is the demands for the racial discrimination lawsuit, which may not go anywhere. Involving more black players and coaches in interviews for these positions. Requiring teams to show side-by-side comparisons of criteria for employment decisions. So everybody can second-guess all this stuff, and it's so dumb. Ridiculous. Demanding change. Reform, as I've said frequently before, reform the blacks. Don't reform. I mean, the NFL needs to be like defunded. Right? Reform the blacks, not the police. You know how they want to reform the police. Police reform. Social justice, criminal justice reform. Reform the people. Don't pander to the degeneracy of them. Yesterday, I meant to get to this story, but I'll have to get to it afterwards. Nick Cannon. I have this little report on Nick Cannon. He claimed that he went celibate for, 2 months? Whatever that means. Anyway, let me get to Marty in California. How are you doing, Marty?
What's up, James?
Hey, good to hear from you.
You as well. How are you doing?
Doing fine. I have my beta back is kind of flaring up right now all morning. So I got to watch it. But other than that, I'm great. Thank you.
Reshave that.
Say that again?
Reshave that.
Reshave it?
Yeah, shave that beard.
Oh, you like the clean face? Clean shaven
yes,
face.
Sir.
Nice. Well, I appreciate the feedback. When it warms up, perhaps I will. But it was cold, and I had never felt the cold on my face in like several years.
Yeah, we're in winter, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I just called to let you know I'm doing okay. I just had surgery 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Yeah.
And I've been on bed rest for it's about to be my last week.
Okay.
And so, yeah. I just called to see how my guys are doing.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I wish you well. I wish Nick well, because I'd be watching his show. I love his show.
Yeah, isn't it nice? It's chill. It's relaxing to listen to. And it is
Hell yeah.
informative in ways that are unexpected. I mean, different from...
I think Go ahead.
It's different from JLP or mine.
I think, it's different from both, because he does at least almost 3 hours, right?
Yeah, 2-3 hours. He's gone 3 hours lately, past 2 or 3 weeks, it seems like.
Yeah, so he's pretty much the same as Jesse.
Yeah. Gangster.
I just called to wish you, I just want to call and let you guys know I'm doing okay. I'm fine. Still breathing, still talking.
Nice.
You guys have a good weekend. I wish all you guys the best.
Right on. And thank you for the support, Marty. And thanks for checking in.
You what? Hey, don't worry. I'm going to keep giving and giving. It don't matter if I'm dead rich or not. I'm going to still keep doing it.
All right. Take care.
Oh, and by the way, my daughter's birthday is Monday. She turns 14.
Oh, right on. Happy birthday, Marty's daughter. Angie.
Yeah.
Right on.
And no,
and
I'm
you,
not
Mom.
Nadia. There you go. I forgive you for that.
Yeah. Thank you. And whoever
All right, you guys have a
whoever
good-
said it, whoever typed it in.
Whoever I talked to, that's the one that gave it to me.
You're right.
You guys have a good weekend, dude.
All right. You too, Marty.
All right, take care.
Bye. Some quick chats. Just want to read some live chats. It's interesting. Detroit all over there on Odyssey. Hake, you were right about the God of this world, but I think Jeremiah was making a good point on who accepted his offer after Jesus told him to go away. Azador states, if Jeremiah was going to make a good point, he would have been a first. Meaning he has never made a good point. And Satan isn't the God of this world. He's the Lord of this world. Very important distinction. Yeah, lowercase g is what I meant. I guess Lord of this world. I assume then, because I feel like I've read he's the God of this world. Maybe I read it in a comic book, but I thought that I read it in the Bible. I've read the whole Bible, but I did not read the King James Version. My mother gave me the NIV, which is a liberal version. Sorry, but perhaps in the King James Version, if it does say that, it says Lord, I would assume. Interesting. Thank you. LUKA in Indiana on the line. What's up?
The Lord is good. We must give thanks for this day. Just acting like Jeremiah.
I picked up on that. I put two and two together.
It's kind of creepy, like when Joe Biden starts whispering when he talks.
Right.
He's like, we're not going to pay a cent.
Don't do that. So anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah, what do the Christians think about the whole ascension thing?
What ascension thing?
I heard that even the Christians know that the earth is rising in vibration and that we're all heading towards heaven, basically. Like
I'm Christian,
dimension.
and I've never heard that the earth is rising in vibration and we're heading towards heaven.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Tell us, I guess.
Well, supposedly, we currently are living in the third dimension, and then the fourth dimension is like dreams and, imagination, and then above that is the fifth dimension, and above that is, sixth and beyond. But apparently, fifth dimension is where we get all the tales of heaven and all that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to.
I don't know.
You got to stay positive, though, or else you'll miss it. Can't be at a low vibration with all that hate and all that.
Whatever. I don't know what to say.
Well, and as far as that music you be playing, Angela thinks you should play some of my music. So does Lord Bibby 42.
I don't take requests, but thank you. I appreciate it. The feedback.
I wanted to mention how the Indiana music scene, I was a big part of it back in the day.
Nice.
But then, I was all liberal back then. And then a lot of the bands, a lot of these local bands, they sound like that, lo-fi beta music you're playing.
Yeah.
And all these people are, total betas. So when I, discovered you guys and Trump, I went on Facebook one day and I was like, Trump is great. all these local, friends of mine, they went nuts. They just hated me. They were all like, "Oh my God, Luka's racist.
Did you know that
Luka hates the blacks?"
Did you know that in advance that they were going to react that way?
Yeah, I figured because I was watching a lot of videos on people, all these Antifas and SJWs out in the streets just going nuts on people if they disagree with them. So, yeah, I was kind of preparing myself for it, but some of my friends that I thought were closer, people that I had spent the night at their house and ate dinner with, they just totally turned their back on me. And they're like, he's terrible now. So I totally, committed Indiana music scene suicide, but I had to. I just couldn't stand seeing all the lies being pushed anymore. I had to speak up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no regrets then, huh?
No. That's why I know that you guys are on the right side, because I'm coming from the other side. I've seen it. I've seen the debauchery and the beta-ness and the making excuses for Satanism like some of my friends would do. Like, they'd be like, oh, Satanism isn't that bad. It's just all about nature and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, they do sacrifices on children and stuff. It's really bad. And they're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride ever since I've woken up from the left. But, yeah, I highly recommend it to anybody because you'll see who your real friends are. And it's about quality over quantity.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Are you still a musician?
Yeah.
So
I
you're still a
much
liberal
here in Indiana. No.
Because all musicians are liberals and betas.
And I'm still vegan.
You're vegan?
All that stuff. But
you are vegan?
Definitely. Yeah.
Did a woman make you vegan, or why did you become vegan?
Just educating myself and realizing that it's healthier to
Was it a woman?
not eat meat. Maybe back in the day when I first became vegetarian, I was with this girl for 3 years. Her whole family was vegetarian.
Aha.
But
how did I guess?
You're psychic.
No. Don't say that.
No, but I ain't gonna go back. It's definitely
not going back to meat. You're saying
on the colon. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I love the animals.
TMI.
I love life. TMI.
Are you the one who told me that you're not the one who called me about eating dogs being not bad, right?
No, that was this other guy.
Okay.
I wanted to comment on him because he went all vegan preaching on you.
Oh yeah. And you called you said I would never force that on others.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm all about people making up their own minds. I'm all about the land of the free.
Right. Well, cool, man. It's nice to hear from you. Have a nice weekend. And
check out Chicken Bone News on
Don't
YouTube.
Be promoting other people's stuff on my show, Luka. What the heck?
Hey, they strongly support you in JLP.
No, they don't. And it doesn't. It wouldn't matter if they did.
Yeah.
That was presumptuous.
I won't be dropping names anymore. Yeah. Gotcha.
Skip is a snake. He doesn't like me or Jesse.
Oh, he doesn't?
Yeah. He doesn't love us anyway. Skip has no love. He's a nice guy, though.
Yeah.
I enjoy talking with him. But no, man,
have a good weekend too.
You guys always be promoting other people's stuff. Anyway, thank you, Luka. Take care.
Yeah, have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Later.
Okay. I have to tell you about this stuff going on with people are talking about not having sex for a time. They call it being celibate. And so I saw this headline from the far left publisher Twitter, which is not a platform. They deplatform people. Nick Cannon, ADL guy Jonathan Greenblatt's friend. Greenblatt. The ADL, they like to they like to smear the whites and the Christians and team up with the blacks against the whites and all that mess. They're a bunch of sick people, especially this Jonathan Greenblatt guy in particular. But Nick Cannon, his friend, also smears the whites and said, oh, the Jews are not the real Jews, the blacks are the real Jews, or something to that effect, it sounded like. And so he had to grovel, and so he became, quote-unquote, fiends with Greenblatt. Well, here's an update on his personal life. Far-left publisher Twitter shares this whole event, this trending story. Nick Cannon says he realized he was out of control after learning of his 8th child. And I have this silent video from clip 12 from yesterday. Go ahead and play this. This is Nick Cannon, and it's just completely silent, but it'll show photos. And I'll read for the audio podcast listeners what it says in this little slideshow story about Nick Cannon. And as the story develops, back in October 2021, he claimed that he became celibate in October 2021. And he didn't even make it till January. October, November, December. Possibly close to 3 months. That's a quarter. Anyway, here's the rapper / comedian who dressed in whiteface once. He was the younger man dating the older woman, Mariah Carey, for a time, that singer woman. She sings All I Want for Christmas Is You, something like that. Or something like that. Well, he says he realized he was out of control after learning of his eighth child. When he found out some woman, Bree Tiesi, was expecting, meaning pregnant. That's disgusting. Here is from E-Talk, Nick Cannon's story. Listen, look at this, and I'll read it to you. Nick Cannon sets the record straight about his celibacy. Dang, he's looking older. Last October, Cannon revealed he was chilling out for a bit and becoming celibate. Fans were confused when Cannon and his model girlfriend announced they are expecting. Maybe it's a wife, I don't know. They will welcome a baby boy, his 8th child, sometime later this year. Cannon went celibate after learning he was going to be a father again. My therapist said, he is a therapist, probably a woman, said I should probably be celibate. I had shared the news about Bree being pregnant. That was the reason I started my celibacy journey. Anyone who's thinking, oh, he wasn't celibate, I was. I said celibacy helped him reconnect with himself. I felt like I was out of control, he added. You were. And to this day, Cannon shares 8 children with 5 different females. Feeling more like his old self? Is he still celibate? TMI. No, not celibate no more. Double negative. TMI. I made it almost to New Year's. We made it to 2022. What a mess, huh? Slut maker, says Shindig listener. Mariah Carey. Another waste. Did Mariah Carey ever even have children? What a shame. Miserable. All the miserable people. Celibacy meaning monogamous, faithful? Is that what she means? Says Chichubin. Celibate means that you don't have sex. We really don't care about whether you're celibate or not. And then it's like a messed up face, says Lisa over there at Facebook. Breeds like rabbits, them cute little rascals do, says Butch. Whoa. I know. That's like too much information. But it's so funny because it was like this trending story, and he did like 1 or 2 months. Or 3 months. Maybe. Without having sex. He'll be paying child support for the next 30 years, says Tim Scott. What a ridiculous world we're living in. Lost people. I told you about my debate with that atheist guy. Oh, man, we're overtime. who he cured his depression with a bunch of sex. What a mess, huh? Joe in Portland, Oregon, and the rest of the callers. I cannot get to you. Joe from Portland, Oregon wanted to talk about this veganism stuff. We are overtime. This has been the Hake Report, guys. Have a nice weekend. See you in the Fallen State with Jesse Lee Peterson chat if I join you there. And then Anchor Baby's new show, 5 p.m. Pacific, the Fallen State noon. And of course, I believe Jesse Lee will be on that pre-recorded interview, and that should air around 3:30 Pacific is my guess. I'm not positive about it. That's Eat the Press on RT America with Steve Malzberg. And then, of course, Church with Jesse Lee Peterson, guys. Rebuildingtheman.com/church. Thank you, and take care. Adios.